Without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Satish Kumar, President and Executive Director, Alliance for an Energy Efficient Economy, to the stage to deliver the welcome address. With a PhD from Carnegie Mellon and a bachelor's in architecture from IIT Roorkee, Dr. Satish serves as the President and Executive Director from AEEE. Boasting over 3 decades of experience, he has a distinguished career, including roles as the Energy Efficiency Ambassador at Schneider Electric India and scientist at LBNL. He is also a member of TEEP's Energy Efficiency Task Force under Montreal Protocol. I would like to invite you on stage, sir.
Thank you, Vibhu. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. It is my distinct honor and privilege to be welcoming all of you to the District Cooling International Conference here in the beautiful city of Goa. As you can see, I'm definitely dressed for the weather, if not for the occasion. I also want to extend a very warm and special welcome to all our international delegates and speakers from around the world, especially from Europe and from Asia, who have come here to attend and make this conference successful. Also a warm welcome to some of the faculty members and postgraduate students who are here to attend this conference from all over India. Why district cooling? This is the question that we are all kind of asking as we assemble here to attend this conference. I'll start with 3 major drivers that I personally believe, and perhaps I think a lot of you will agree with me, that why district cooling and why is it so critical at this juncture, at this space and time, especially in a country like India. I'll start with a number, 3 trillion. 3 trillion is a very large number, but why I am quoting this 3 trillion number? 3 trillion person cooling degree days is the cooling demand requirement for India if we want to provide cooling for all in India. I'm not talking about thermal comfort, but I'm asking for thermal cooling. This number is a product of the population, which is about 1.35 billion people in India, and the average cooling degree days, if you look at it in terms of identifying that how hot or how tropical climate India is. So 1.35 billion multiplied by like 2200, 2000 cooling degree days will get you to this 3 trillion number. The next country, which is 1/4 of this number, is China. China has similar population, but the cooling degree days is 500. It's like 1/4 of what India has. So immediately, the cooling demand in China is going to be 1/4. And if you look at the US, which is also a pretty large country, it's about 1/15 of this cooling demand that I am talking about. So clearly, I think in a country like India, we are where we have the second driver is the India Cooling Action Plan. And India Cooling Action Plan was a seminal policy document that was published about 5 years ago by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And then based on India Cooling Action Plan, UNEP and the Cool Coalition came out with the National Cooling Action Plan methodology. Many countries around the world, some of them in the global south, have either developed their National Cooling Action Plan or they are in the process of developing that. So again, I think looking at the policy landscape, looking at the role that technology providers and the planners and everybody can play in this role, can play in this particular, I think, development or promotion of this technology is another very, very important piece of that. And the idea here is that if we can provide thermal comfort or cooling using the most sustainable technology, using the most cost-effective technology, which provides cooling at an affordable price to billions of people who still do not have access to cooling, I think is one of the important things that we are looking to do. The third pillar or the third driver is that in a country like India, it's in a very unique situation because if we look fast forward to 2040, India is still a country in development, and there are like the amount of development, the amount of infrastructure that is going to be present in 2040, 50% of that is yet to be built. So we have a historical opportunity to create a sustainable pathway as we move forward by creating the right kind of infrastructure. And here also district cooling systems can play a very, very important role. During the course of the next 1.5 days, as my colleague Vibhu mentioned, that we are going to be focusing on 3 broad themes. So just to repeat that, we are looking at urban integration and governance, because we all understand that a technology like district cooling is not just a technology, it's an entire ecosystem that you have to think about and develop alongside before this technology will become mainstream, before planners and policymakers and investors will become comfortable with it. The second aspect is economic and financial viability. We all understand that it's not the technology, it's like the business model. It's like the investing in this technology that is really going to determine that how fast and how widespread this technology will become. And the third piece is the resource circularity and the energy transition, which every country around the world is kind of going through right now. And district cooling can play an important role in that circularity discussion, in that energy transition discussion as well. So these factors are going to determine the appropriateness, the viability of the district cooling systems, and where is it going to be needed. I think there will be a lot of discussions and details in terms of what kind of diversity of loads, what kind of development, whether we are looking at residential development, whether we are looking at commercial development, whether we are looking at mixed development. Many of the mixed development that we are seeing happening in India are really prime candidates for the district cooling system application. Also, there are many campuses, whether it's industrial townships or whether it is IITs or AIMS campuses, that also can lend itself very well to the adoption of these technologies. One of the, I think some of the advantages that we are also going to be talking about is that apart from the sustainable nature and the energy efficiency that this technology can bring, it also brings in peak load management. It also brings in the refrigerant management, and also in terms of like freeing up the real estate space by providing very high quality service, cooling service, that perhaps will not be possible if every building is trying to develop this kind of central heating system on its own. So in that spirit, I would say let us discuss, deliberate, and learn from each other as we listen to speakers and experts who have lots of experience designing, building, and running district cooling systems around the world. And we are indeed fortunate to have these people amongst us. So on behalf of my wonderful team at AEEE, KPMG, and UNEP, our awesome international partners, Asia Pacific Urban Energy Association, or APUA, I once again welcome all of you to this conference and look forward to interacting with you all over the next 1.5 days. And in conclusion, I want to acknowledge and be thankful for the contributions and support that we are receiving from the GIZ and from the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, without whose support this conference would not have been possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring words. I would now like to invite on stage Mr. Nitin Jain, Program Head, GIZ, to the stage to grace us with his words. Mr. Jain is working as Program Head for the Indo-German Energy Program of GIZ GmbH India office and is responsible for commission and implementation of the energy efficiency industry project. He has around 20 years of professional experience in the field of project management, budget monitoring, including finance, program implementation, co-finance, etc. He is also a green finance specialist awarded by Renewables Academy AG, Berlin, Germany. Sir, please take the stage.
Thank you, Vibhor. Good morning to all of you. On behalf of Energy Program GIZ India, it gives me immense pleasure and joy to welcome you all to the District Cooling International Conference 2023 at Goa. A very warm welcome to dignitaries and members from our partner organizations, AEEE, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, KPMG, UNEP, and Asia Pacific Urban Energy Association. A heartiest welcome to all the representatives of the government agencies, municipalities, industry associations, think tanks, and international organizations. I sincerely welcome and thanks all the speakers of the session for taking out time and traveling not only from across the country but internationally to make this summit meaningful. A big welcome to all of you. To be honest, with the changes with the personals at the GIZ office, I'm in the process of taking over this program. So looking forward to meet you all in person. I'm yet to go into the depth of the program. I think it is important to highlight and thank Shri Satish Kumar ji, AEEE, and his team to make and ensure PMU functional and have this event happen in such a short span of time. Thank you, Satish ji. In these 2 days of conference, we look forward to having fruitful interactions and discussions on topics pertaining to district cooling, its impact, opportunities, challenges, and its potential contribution towards India's goals to energy transition. At GIZ, we always talk about regional synergies, Southeast Asia, Pacific, learning from each other. But we always believe that in India, by having synergies and cooperation between the states and within the departments of the state, we could achieve many more heights together than ever before. We have so much to learn from each other, and this is exactly we are here for. Again, a warm and cheerful welcome to the delegates of the Inspiring Energy Efficient India. Enjoy your stay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. I would now like to invite Mr. Lars Hammelmus, Managing Director, Danish Board of District Heating, to deliver the special address. Mr. Hammelmus has been the Managing Director of DBDH for the last 11 years. DBDH is a Danish member organization with members from whole Danish district heating and cooling sector. DBDH's mission is to create a better world where people, companies, and cities benefit from sustainable district energy. So please join us on the stage.
Really appreciate being here in India and being part of this event. Big thank you to GIS and UNEP, to AEEE and EPEA for organizing this and inviting us in to be a part of it. I'm honored that I can be a part of. Hopefully, this will be a good start for cooperation to develop district cooling further in India. I have prepared a small, some slides here, very short about Danish Board of District Heating. We're an organization been around for 45 years, a member-based organization out of Denmark. And what we do is like this, knowledge exchange. That's sharing knowledge, as has already been said, is what is important. Learn from what has already been done, and especially the failures, as well as successes of the knowledge that's been done in the last 100 years in district heating, but district heating, district cooling, the technologies, the organizing, the financing is the same. Of course, there are small differences, but in general, it's the same challenges that we are facing. I'm the managing director in this company. So, a very short disclaimer here. What we have done in Denmark has taken 100 years. So it's not something you do overnight, but you have to make a plan for where you want to be. So what we've done, you cannot copy, but you can be inspired. That's my hope, that when you meet each other, be inspired from what others have done. Here on the slide, on your left side, showing the heat space area has been developed with, increased with 30% the last 30 years, but the use of energy has been stable, and the emissions has declined with about 35%. And why? Well, that's because in Denmark we now are up to 70% of our heat covered by district heating. It's much more efficient using energy sources that otherwise often are wasted or is done in coal generation with production of electricity. So it's about efficiency. So when I talk about district cooling, talking about district heating, it's also about energy efficiency. I'm not going to go into this because legislation in Denmark is a terrible complex structure. It's been developed over many years, layer on layer. But it's important that politicians also take responsibility, because that's what they have done in Denmark. Otherwise, we will not have a coverage of about 70% of district heating. So you have to legislation, and that's why you now are at this beginning stage in India. We need regulation. Sometimes we need incentives. Some other times we need taxes on what you don't want. So you indirectly support what you want. And then in Denmark we have a special business model, but it already been said, business models are crucial. Technologies, yes, it's important and it's developed over time, but we know how to do that. So it's more what's the business models, how to be financed. In Denmark, we have either the companies, the district heating companies, is either owned by the municipalities or is owned by the people themselves in corporations. That's also what I call democratic ownership. I know this is difficult to do in other places, but it's been working in Denmark. So something in ownership, something you take into consideration. Even though it's a municipality ownership, it's still primarily private companies running the systems. So you can still have the ownership somehow in control and still have private engagement. So this with government working together with private companies is essential in this. But the government and the cities has to take a responsibility to be successful. And then I think we'll also point out to the last thing with planning and zoning. Planning is key. Planning in a local plan, planning in cities. We, back in the 70s, 80s, I think I'll come to this, yeah, we were, in Denmark, we did a plan for where should we have heating, how should we do the heating, where should we have district heating, where should we have natural gas, and where should we have other options. And that had been a guidance for the investments into the sector, that each city has set down, okay, how do we want to heat our cities? And especially when you do new developments, that's very important that the city says, we put up some demands for how this area should be cooled. Now I'm talking a lot about heating, that's the experience from Denmark. We also have cooling in Denmark. But the same goes for cooling needs. Planning is been a success, leading to success in Denmark. I also believe that's a way in India, both on a national plan, but definitely also on a local scale. And we're talking, as you see in the bottom, both to secure the investors, but also to protect the customers. Protect the customers, or consumers, from not paying a too high a rate. Because if you, sometimes we see in countries where we had not had any influence from the government or from, don't have any guidance, we see some solutions that become very expensive, and you're bound to get that cooling. That can also be in disadvantage, and then the solution, even though it's the right solution because you use less energy, becomes unpopular because it becomes too expensive. So there's a balance there to both secure that an investor can see a business into it, but at the same time protect the consumer. So what's the system like today in Denmark? Well, it's what we call sector coupling. We're bringing the power sector together with the heating sector. And that are also huge potential here in India. We have a lot of power plants. It can also be used into producing cooling. We have a lot of waste incineration. Maybe that could be thought also into to utilize the heat there into cooling. But in Denmark today, we have about 80% of our power is renewable. So from early on, where all our, in the 1780s, we went to combined heat and power, it's now more going into more power into the heating sector, also into the district heating sector. So when the wind is blowing, we cannot use all the power we're having for renewables. So we turn on the electrical boilers, we turn on the heat pump to use this. I call it waste electricity. They don't like that term, but the surplus power, we use that in the heating sector. And then they be stored in thermal energy storage systems. And when the wind is not blowing, we turn on the combined heat and power plant. So producing power supporting the power sector, and also by that then we also get heat. So that's how the sector in Denmark is getting more and more integrated. And the plan is that in 2030, it will be a full fossil-free smart system. So no fossil fuel be used into power production or into heat production when we, in another 7, 8 years. That's the plan, and usually we keep to the plan. So we have a lot of different renewable sources up here. This one is gonna go out in a few years. We have decided that we're not going to use gas for heat in the future. Has also to do with the international crisis we have at the moment. So that's how the system looks like in Denmark. It's on the way to be in this way. It's a lot of investments and done in a close cooperation between municipalities, cities, and private operators also. And again, already been said, technically it's not complicated, but it's not saying that it's not easy. Use the knowledge that we already have in this sector. There are constant new technologies coming on board to improve energy efficiency. And therefore, I'm also very happy to have some of our members with us here today. They have stands out here. Go out and have a talk with them. They have a lot of knowledge in how to use these technologies to make the systems more efficient. So I think this will be the words from my side, and again, appreciate being part of this, and I'm open up for having good discussions here with you at the conference, and you're welcome to reach out. And I'm also happy that later our ambassador from Denmark is going to join, and also because they are actually on a government level spending a lot of resources supporting different countries to use the knowledge we have from Denmark, from Europe, to see how can we use this knowledge and to inspire us. So it's about inspiring and sharing knowledge. So thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening words and setting a context for the overall conference for all the participants. Now I would like to welcome to the stage Mr. Mikkel Jacobsen, President Asia Pacific Urban Energy Association, to deliver the welcome remarks. Mr. Jacobsen is the CEO of Nick City, a district energy advisory firm with office in Beijing, Bangkok, and Stockholm. And in 2017, he initiated Asia Pacific Urban Energy Association, APOEA. We would like to thank APOEA for being the international partner of this conference.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, district cooling colleagues and friends, it's a great pleasure to be invited here. I would like to start to thank the hosts, AEEE, KPMG, and UNEP for inviting us. It's really an important event we are having here today. And as mentioned here before, we started APOEA in 2017 as a regional association to support the local district energy markets. We started out working with the existing associations, the sector associations in countries like China, Korea, Japan, where they have been established for a while. Over the years here, we have been having the pleasure to support the establishment of a district cooling association in Malaysia, which is new since only 1.5 years or so. And we also have built this great collaboration with AEEE, who is actually holding this kind of function in India as we see it, a very important role so that we can help to accelerate and promote the development of sustainable district energy. As I mentioned, we are quite happy to be here, and it's an important event. And as Dr. Satish mentioned before, I heard there were some postgraduates here today. And what we will see, I mentioned district cooling colleagues and friends. It's a relatively small market we are in after all, and we are often meeting each other. And I also would like to emphasize that in this room here today, it's some of the most knowledgeable and which we say front runners within the district cooling sector here. So take the advantage to share experiences and knowledges and so on, because we will for sure meet each other again. And that's what we do, and help each other in different roles to promote district energy. With that, I would just like to wish everyone having a fruitful event and enjoy all the great sessions. And finally, thanks AEEE for a great, should we say, program that is well thought through and very interesting. Thank you very much, everyone.